Monday, everybody, and welcome back to the Couchside Judges. I'm Scott Fontana. Follow me on Twitter at Scott_Fontana.
And I'm Dan Urban. Follow me at the Dan Urban. Follow the podcast at Couchside Judges. And subscribe to us on YouTube and everywhere else that you listen.
Yeah, probably all the platforms. Just make sure you always listen to every episode on every platform as well, like 4 times a week.
And as always, we talk judging MMA, so we'll be needing you to read that criteria.
Yeah, why don't you do me a favor and get on that,
please.
Yeah, maybe I'm being too hard on the hammering too much about making sure you listen on every platform. If you have to skip one of your major platforms for the week, don't.
Yeah, just don't.
Yeah, just don't. No, seriously, we're trying to put a little more effort into the YouTube. We'll be adding a few more things, kind of from our back catalog, and trying to do a little bit better with providing more content on YouTube. So keep your eye out for that. So please do subscribe. That would be a help for us.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. But you know who really helped out? I think everybody this weekend. The judges.
Yeah, they were great. They
were on point at UFC on Saturday night. 21 out of 22 rounds unanimous.
Really
95.5%. We just don't get that. But it was great because for a while, and I didn't want to talk about this, talk about the no-hitter like I was telling you, Dan. Although you don't believe that, and I don't really either. But I was like, you know what? Let's go with it. Let's do it anyway. So I'm watching along and following along with the night. I'm not able to watch as much of the fights live as I would like to, be able to score. So I'm noticing there's a terrible heavyweight fight on, and I'm like, God, I hope there's no rounds. We have to go back.
Thank God for getting that one.
Yeah. First, no matter what, like that's almost more important than the judges being like unanimous almost on every round. It's just that they were unanimous on all heavyweight rounds.
Yes.
We don't want any of that. None of that, please. So great job. But yeah, it was a perfect 18 for 18 going into the main event, and then round 1 comes along and Sal D'Amato messes it up.
Come on, Sal.
Honestly, it's probably time they get him out of here. No. That's we'll talk about that round, of course. We have our thoughts on that round. We will get to the one contested round from the weekend. But yes, the bottom line is we had a really fantastic weekend from the judge. And I think it deserves some recognition. We had, not a lot of names we're going to be shouting out because it was just one particular round, but I can tell you we had, scores from Mike Bell, Chris Lee, Sal D'Amato, Anthony Maness, Adelaide Bird, Junichiro Kamijo, Tony Weeks was on this one. We had a whole host of Eric Colon was on this one as well, right? I think we had a really terrific weekend from the judges, so they all deserve a good shout out. Not just here and there, but especially for this weekend. I think they pulled their weight, did a great. Ron McCarthy, I should also note him as well. So terrific job on the whole.
Awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Made our jobs easier.
Yes, it did. But yeah, that's kind of all. We don't have too much to really talk about other than the fact that Song Yadong got the win, an impressive win in the main event.
Yeah, there's no storylines really that advance very far from this card. So.
Not a whole lot, but I mean, Song Yadong is definitely someone who has that kind of like, will he be the champion one day kind of feel to. He's still so young, but he's looking really fantastic. And I think even when he has these setbacks, they're not such a negative that it's like a big setback. It's more like okay, you didn't get the win, but you kind of still impressed. And here, obviously, he really impressed in a victory. But the question I would have for you, sir, is he a future bantamweight champion?
I don't really see it.
You don't see it? Huh?
I mean, it's possible, maybe.
Well, sure,
but I
just like anything is.
He's young enough where maybe he can get improved. I just see him. He really hasn't gotten that one win that makes me say he's the guy.
Sure.
So,
I can see what you're saying there.
So tough for me to tell you. I mean, when he went against Sandhagen busted him open.
But he was doing well in that fight, though.
Until he wasn't.
Well, until he got busted open and took it away.
Like I think he'll be able to hold his own against strikers. Grapplers at the top of the division. I don't think so. Not yet, anyway.
Well, 1 or 2 of those grapplers who are at the top of the division who are actually fighting this weekend may not even be around for the long haul at bantamweight anyway. So he might not have to worry about either of them.
Murab?
Well, Murab is a different thing, yeah.
Peter Yan, if he sticks around.
Yeah, I don't think he has to worry about the grappling there as much.
It's there if he wants it.
No, but I don't know that Song Yadong is so weak in his grappling that he couldn't fend off takedowns from Petr Yan.
I don't know yet.
I don't know. I
mean, he's got the win. He's got a win over Vera.
Yeah,
highly. I won't say high, not highly, but it was a
close fight. Could have gone either way.
Yeah, I think
some people would call it controversial. I don't think I would, but it was close.
Well, Marlon Vera would.
Well, that's fine. Anyway, whoever's on the losing side of a split decision almost always is going to be like, unless you get a Paul Felder situation losing to Dos Santos, and he's like, huh? The still image of him looking that way is definitely grilled into my mind.
I mean, you got Umar in there. Umar and him would be a fun fight.
That'd be a fun fight.
But
I'm just saying, I think he's young. I see him sticking around a while.
He's also young, but he also has a lot of miles on him. Like, how much more can you develop? Like, he's got a lot of fights in there.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about the development so much. If you're talking about the number of fights, that's really more about like.
Well, he needs to develop. He's not championship caliber just yet.
No, I don't think he's championship caliber yet. I think but he's young. He's not even truly in his athletic prime. So
he's 25.
I think he could still improve as an athlete, even. You know.
Maybe. I got to see more. That's where I'm at.
That's fair. No, that's fair. Absolutely. I don't think we have to linger too much more on this because we do have to get to all these contested rounds.
Ton of them.
Not a whole lot of them here. But we will have, in addition to the lone contested round, it's just the one, we are going to go back in time after that, but we'll save that for later. Start off with our one contested round, round 1, from Song Yadong's round 5 TKO victory over Ricky Simone. What was going on in this round?
Pretty low output round. I think for like the first minute and a half, they just circle each other.
Yeah.
Then that's when Song lands a strong leg kick. Solid impact there. Throws a jumping knee after it, and really all it does is just make contact with the body. I don't think there's any impact on it at all. Simone splits the guard a couple times, land a couple combos, couple good leg kicks. Song also landed a couple more leg kicks as the round went on. Nice body kick. Scoring live, I scored it for Simone. So that's my score. I'm not changing it.
All right.
10-9.
That's fair.
On rewatch, I'm not as confident in it. I think it's a fine defensible score, but I do think Song did more than I initially gave him credit for.
All right. Yeah, I actually did agree with you.
Okay.
I did give this round to Simone, but also I thought it was really close.
Mm-hmm.
And you can understand why this did end up being the one round that was contested. It's unfortunate that we have to do anything for this show. We were gonna give everybody the week off. I don't know what we'd do, but what would we have done if we had absolutely no contested round?
I'd have been just pretty cool with just like coming here and talking about next week.
What if we just did like a 5-minute episode? We're like, hey, no rounds, guys. Have a great week. See ya.
Yeah, we can just praise everyone.
Just an intro and then an outro.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Get everybody in and out. No one's gonna listen.
That's how the heavyweights are supposed to do it.
That's how the heavyweights are supposed to do it. But we've got to give our audience a little bit of stuff. But nonetheless, like I said, I agreed with you. I gave it to Simone, and that actually put us in line with the out judge here, Sal D'Amato, who disagreed with his peers Mike Bell and Chris Lee, who gave it to Song, 10-9. What does that mean for the judge, who now needs to be removed because he actually made us talk about this round?
Couchside override.
A farewell couchside override, because now he's done. He's dead to us. No, that was it. That's really it. 4 contested rounds. It's pretty wild. 22 rounds, by the way, too. 21 out of 22 is just, it's not even like a little bit, man. That's a good chunk. Sometimes it comes down to, hey, are we just having fights that are not particularly close, or maybe they're a little easier to score? Maybe in some cases here. But again, we had some heavyweight fights that were kind of like, oh, gee, I don't know, man. Because you never know with heavyweights. And sure enough, we got out of there. And I think, again, judges did a great job. There were 6 finishes here. That did help a little bit, of course. 2 of them were in the first round. 2 of them ended by TKO or KO. And there was 4 submissions. So we're back on the more submissions than TKOs train.
Good.
Although I still feel like it's gotten almost balanced out now. Because we had a few weeks where it was like all TKOs and KOs, man. All strikes. All the time. Well, what was your favorite of these, this little handful here?
Well, it was, Cody Brundage showing off that fight IQ, jumping on a guillotine against one of the best grapplers in the world.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
Adolfo Vieira, basically putting himself into an arm triangle. Set it up beautifully just for him to just squeeze his head off.
It was not the greatest of moves.
He has a guillotine finish in his
Sure.
career, but it wasn't over someone like Rodolfo Vieira. It's like
it's not that he can't hit it though. It's just
No,
he
it's
didn't
not there.
really have it.
That's
He
never-
didn't have it.
it's never happening.
It
there.
wasn't presenting. I mean, look, we've seen Adolfo Vieira get submitted in the UFC, and that was stunning enough to happen.
This was different.
No, I'm not. I don't disagree.
Brundage already rocked him on the feet. Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't. Why put yourself on the back there?
Yeah,
But that was my favorite because Adolfo took advantage of the situation, got the tap.
There you go.
And yours?
I liked Irina Alekseeva's. Well, she kind of destroyed Stephanie Egger's knee there.
It was weird.
It was unfortunate because it kind of got wrecked even before she really had it.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even like the right movement. It was just like the outer portion of the knee that got like popped or whatever.
I wonder if it was like, I mean, it was a knee bar, obviously it goes down as a knee bar submission, but like, was it the typical motion of the knee bar or the actual implementation of the knee bar itself that really did it? Because it was kind of weird. Again,
Yeah,
like
it's like someone that pops their own knee when they're in like a body triangle or a regular triangle,
Mm.
and that like motion of the outer portion.
It was a little strange, but nonetheless, I thought number one, you give me an not unorthodox but uncommon in MMA submission victory. I'm always going to be like, oh, that's kind of fun. It's good to see it because we get arm bars all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We get guillotines.
Mm-hmm.
We get a lot of rear naked chokes.
Ton of those.
And that's kind of like the big three in mixed martial arts these days.
Yeah, maybe if you hit one of those, they just win the round.
We're still going back to that.
I guess we're gonna keep going back to this.
you hate that so much. I mean, it's stupid,
It
but
is
like,
so dumb.
yeah.
All right, I had to get one in there.
That's all right. That's all right. That's a callback for people. If you didn't catch that, go back a few episodes or something, or just you move on with your life.
Let's just move
You
on.
can just move on with your life if you want to. But yeah, so that was my favorite. And she only needed about 2 minutes. I think 2:11 was the time on that. So for Alekseeva, so
yeah, it was quick.
great debut for her. I think they call her Russian Ronda or something. Was that what it was?
Is that what I didn't catch that.
I believe they called her Russian Ronda, or maybe she's just Ronda. Her nickname has to do with Ronda Rousey. As they were saying during the fight, I guess she used to have a haircut that made her kind of look like her.
Okay.
And then she got a different haircut. Now she's like, now I look like Henry Cejudo.
All right.
I thought it was funny. they were joking about that. And they were like, you didn't remember.
I guess I don't think I had this.
You might not have. Okay, I get you. Yeah, it was funny. But we had Ronda's, of course, the arm bars. Now maybe she's the knee bar. Maybe she's just gonna hit knee bars, everybody.
Hey, that'd be awesome.
That'd be cool. Not good for the knees though. Definitely wish Stephanie Egger well in her recovery because knee bars suck. But that is it. That's everything we had from UFC Vegas number 72 for the week. What is this, a record?
This is the least amount of contested rounds we've ever had.
We had some filler in there too. I feel like we could have got this done even quicker if we wanted to. But
no, we could. Sure, we could have.
But again, that is it for that one. We just don't have a whole lot more from going on, so we thought we would kind of pad it out a little bit with a little, reaching into the back catalog of the UFC for some past judgment. We haven't done past judgment in a long time. It was like last summer was the last time
It's been a while.
Yeah. So I'm glad we're going back to it. I like doing them. Dan has soured on them in recent times, but once in a while.
Yeah, once in a while.
It's all right. We can bring it out of the closet.
Give you a double dose.
Yeah, we're going to do two. One of them is going to be revisiting a fight we've already talked about on our show way, 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 way back before we had, let's say, a more enlightened understanding of how to implement the criteria. And another one is one we haven't spoken about. But both of these fights took place in
New Jersey,
where we're going to be having the fights this coming week. So we thought we'd bring it in a little bit with a little Jersey flavor.
Yeah, good Taylor ham flavor.
Yes, Taylor ham. I don't care if one of these fights took place in the other country. We're in Taylor ham.
Well,
country.
actually, one takes place in Taylor ham country, and one takes place in pork roll country.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No. That's what I'm saying. We don't talk about that.
Oh, we don't talk. Okay.
No. You missed out. All right, but anyway, so for those who do not recall or maybe haven't heard, when we do past judgment, we kind of score it just a little bit differently. So Dan is going to do the quick rundown before we get into our first of two past judgment fights. Dan, how do we do things?
Well, the spiel's been a little while since I did it, but basically we score using the ABC criteria based on effective striking and grappling and the 3 Ds: damage, dominance, and duration. 10-9 is a round where neither fighter checks off a D to a strong degree. A 10-8 can be considered for 1 D but must be given when 2 Ds are achieved. A 10-7 can be considered for 2 Ds but must be given for all 3. The rare 10-10 is for partial rounds and basically staring contests, We've eliminated effective aggression and area control because it's extremely rare that judges go to these anyway. So, Scott, set up our first fight. Michael Bisping, Rashad Evans.
Michael Bisping versus Rashad Evans was the headliner of UFC 78, which was the first time that North Jersey had hosted a UFC event. It was actually the first one at the Prudential Center and opened just a few weeks before this. So it was one of the first non-hockey games that actually took place at The Rock.
And my first live event.
Your first live event? That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Do you remember, was there energy in the building for this? Or
Yeah,
was this
people were super. I was super excited. I think Houston Alexander was on this card. I was pumped for him to fight. I think Thiago Silva was on this card.
Okay.
Frankie was on this card, I believe.
Frankie Valley?
Frankie Edgar.
Oh, Frankie Edgar. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm mixing up my Jersey guys.
Yeah, I was pumped for this one.
I knew what you were talking about.
Good, I'm glad.
No, I know. But that's cool. That's cool. I was not really into the UFC at this point yet. 2007. I don't know what I was doing at that point. not watching UFC too much.
All right.
It was close though, because I think this was like a month before Brock Lesnar fought Frank Mir, and that was like the first fight that I was like sort of interested in and like kind of caught later, or maybe it might have been 2 months before. I can't remember, but so it was kind of right before I was starting to get into it. At any rate, Michael Bisping came into this one. He was 28 years old, fresh faced, 14-0, the Ultimate Fighter Season 3 winner. He had just won an at the time controversial split decision over Matt Hamill in September, and we had actually gone back to that particular fight, Hamill and Bisping, for past judgment way back in episode 30. So we might have to go back and give that a second look at some point as well. Also 28 years old, Rashad Evans, fresh off a draw with Tito Ortiz in July, headlined his first pay-per-view in this one, and so did Bisping. First of many. but he was unbeaten as well at the time, 10-0-1.
I thought it was 15-0-1.
So, all right, so there's a discrepancy in the way the UFC does things, because first off, they count some of the Ultimate Fighter stuff, which they don't, which official records don't, and then I think they had other ones in there as well. I'm working off of what I saw from Tapology.
Okay.
So, these things kind of sometimes fluctuate depending on what's considered official and what's not. So, but anyway, I'm going with that. So 10-0-1, 5 wins in the UFC. That's undebatable unless you count the Ultimate Fighter. But that did also include that he won Season 2. So it was Season 2 winner versus Season 3.
Yeah, I was big into Tough, so I was into this.
A lot of people were.
So.
I mean, it was a very rare at the time non-title headliner for a pay-per-view.
Yeah, and only 3 rounds.
And it was only 3. This was back when they were only doing 3 rounds. It took several years for them. So I think 4 years for them to get to the point where they're actually doing 5-round non-title main events.
There might have been a struggle rounds 4 and 5.
Yeah, but we might have gotten an end.
That's true too. We might
not have needed to go back to this one. But anyway, the judges for this one, being in New Jersey, it was Romulo Bittencourt, Eric Colon, who was announced as Eric Colon by Bruce Buffer.
He got it right that time.
Yeah. Way back then, he actually used to do it right, and now he's just Eric Colon. It's been that way for a very long time. Yeah, go figure. But then Doug Crosby. Never heard of that guy.
Yeah, who's that guy?
I don't know. Referee for this one, Dan Mergliata. Also looked very different back then. Him and I caught a glimpse of Eric Colon in the cage side too. Fresh-faced individuals, these guys. Dan Mergliata, Eric Colon. It's a different time. All these, Bisping and Evans too. Everybody's so much younger.
Yeah.
15 and a half years.
Yeah, Bisping a bit softer looking.
Now?
Yeah. Then.
Oh, then?
Now he's a lot. No, now he looks like he's in the best shape of his life.
Well, yeah, he looks terrific.
So
you can't see as well.
Yes, he was able to see with both eyes in this one.
Yes, that's true. Still had 2 functioning eyes. We should also note that we do not have individual round scores for this fight. So use your imagination. But we will give you their final scores at the end. That much we can at least provide for the judges. So let's get into it. Round 1. What's happening?
They start out, they have a nice little exchange. Like, this might be a wild fight. I think Evans got the best of it before trying for a takedown. They spend quite a bit of the round clinched against the cage, with Evans trying to get Bisping to the ground. When they're separated, Bisping does get a couple good shots in, but I think so does Evans. I think Evans is getting a little bit of the better of it here. Evans gets a takedown, passes to side control. Doesn't really do much there with it. Bisping gets back up, and in the clinch, they exchange some elbows. Evans lands 2 good ones to Bisping's 1. Evans takes him down again. They spend the rest of the round, Bisping in half guard, trying to get up, and every time he sits up, Evans pushes him back down to the mat. I think this is pretty clear, 10-9 Evans.
Yeah, I think it's 10-9 Evans for sure. We should also point out at the beginning of this, because we're talking about 2 fights that are much older.
Mm-hmm.
The scoring criteria was a very different thing at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It's, we're going to look at it through the eyes of modern MMA judging. Right. That may not match up in some of these instances with the way it was judged at the time, where, things like ring generalship and all sorts of things that we just don't really do anymore were factored in. Takedowns had more weight, all that sort of stuff. It was less about the effect of the takedowns and that kind of thing. It was more, it was a rougher time. It was an earlier time, right?
Goldie will point out how the fight scored randomly.
Yes, at some point. Which round was it? Like round 2?
Round 3.
Round 3.
Round 3, he just blurts out effective striking, grappling, aggression, and cage control, or octagon control.
Totally out of context, and then we just moved on from it.
It's just out of nowhere.
It was just a total non sequitur, and then we moved on. Very, very strange. There's a lot of awkwardness from Goldie that we just don't have anymore. It was fun for a time, and I think it ran its course, so I think we moved on to a more evolved time, I think, in MMA commentary, at least, most of the time. Round 2. No, I didn't. I said round. I didn't even get to this at all.
Yeah.
I have Evans. Yeah, we both had Evans here. That's all I really have to say.
I'm gonna say I think all the judges probably agree. I think this round was probably unanimous.
There's a good chance. Yeah, I would think, but I mean, I don't know, because there's a split round in this fight. We'll have to figure out what it is at some point. So I mean, we can guess. We don't really know. So, but let's move on. Round 2.
Bisping comes out with a flying kick to the body. They have a little bit of an exchange before Rashad gets a big double leg. He could have slammed him harder than he did. He didn't, he kind of took it easy on him, I thought. And, they're active. Both of them are very active on the ground. Bisping, instead of the typical Bisping that we're used to throughout his career of getting taken down, getting right back up, or not getting taken down at all, he was closing his guard and throwing punches from his back. So, when Bisping's career, it's kind of more, you see the evolution here, and this is kind of the beginning of it.
I always saw Bisping as one of the early innovators of using the cage to get back up from being down. It was like, at the time, it was always viewed like, oh no, you don't want to be in that spot because there's like less options. But it was like, oh no, there's actually more.
Yeah.
So, but he wasn't at that point yet.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Back in the day, how that he changed all that. But anyway, Rashad loses his mouthpiece. And they fight a little more, and it's not like there's no action. I'll give it to him. Rashad's not trying to pass; he's just throwing punches
from guard,
from inside guard, Michael Bisping's guard. And then Big Dan, he stands him up. I thought it was a really weird stand up there.
Not a fan of those. We don't see stand ups like that as often anymore.
Yes.
Typically.
Anyway, that's about that was like the first half of the round. So now they're back on the feet for the second half, and you can tell Rashad's tired here, and Bisping starts landing some good combos. Rashad's throwing back. He's landing a few of his own. I think the impact is definitely on Bisping's side here. Close round. I got a side for Bisping here, 10-9. Also, I want to point out in between rounds, as Scott was saying before, how we're seeing it through a modern judging criteria. Back then, Joe Rogan says something along the lines of Rashad has the more takedowns, but he's not really doing any damage with them. Not sure how the judges are going to score them.
It was prescient. It's like it was like a thing that he could have said now, but he wouldn't say now.
Yeah, now he's soured on whatever he said then.
Yeah, go figure. Everything is backwards. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, a fight. What do you think of this round? Do you think this could have been a split round?
I think this could have been.
You think this
possibly.
is a swing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Depending how much weight you give Rashad's first half.
I feel like that's kind of what it comes down to. Is again, and trying to think through the past lens, and you were just kind of guessing here to a certain degree. So, but I did agree with you. I thought Bisping had this. I think from today's standards and today's judging eye, it would be much easier to give this round to Bisping. I think the impact is much more prevalent. Impact and effectiveness of the strikes, I think, is there. I feel like close but clear by modern standard.
Okay.
Again, the caveat here is modern standard. So, but I have it 19-19. So do you. We have a tie going into the third and final round of this main event.
Yeah, this was a decent round. Nah, both guys are exhausted. More so Evans. Evans landed a couple heavier shots. Bisping was good. Kind of just touching Evans. Feel like the more cumulative type shots. Not really the heavy impactful ones in this round. I'm noticing greater effect when Evans lands. Not by that much. He does get a takedown early that Bisping, accepts, but nothing really came with it. It's a close round. But I think Evans was more effective in this one.
I went the other way, actually. And again,
Alright.
this is still viewed more through a modern lens, right? Because I can see how this one would end up being much more of an Evans round, like at the time, right? I think they weighed takedowns a little differently then.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is a little bit of my guesswork on this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think by today's standards, this is a lot closer.
Well, yeah, it's a very close round.
As opposed to round 2, I thought might have been close at the time. I think round 3 is the one that actually would have been a swing round by today's standards. So I did go for Bisping here. I thought the strikes landed were just a little bit more effective.
All right.
A little closer round. So I went that way, and I gave the fight to Bisping, 29-28. You went the other way. Same number for
Rashad Evans.
Yeah. So, but that does it. So we're split even by today's standards. It's changed in the way we got there, but I think we still ended up in this is a very close fight. Not controversial, just close. I think.
Yeah, just a close one.
And it would have been nice if they had a couple extra rounds to kind of sort it out. Although they were kind of dragging. We were a little tired.
Bit tired.
Yeah. Back then, the conditioning wasn't quite to the level it is today. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Especially someone like both Bisping and Evans they're 5-round guys. Eventually they became 5-round guys.
Oh yeah.
I think even more so Bisping. But
Rashad spent most of his career at 205 anyway.
He did.
But
he did.
Bisping eventually realized 85 was his home.
It was after this fight. This was his
It was
last
his
light
last
heavyweight fight of his career.
Okay.
Everything after was 85, and he always hit the button. 185, nailed it. Made weight 185, 186.
Yeah, it's weird. I hated Bisping going into this one.
A lot of people did,
and I love him now.
Yeah, he's fun. Well, he enjoyed getting a rise out of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
He played that up.
Well, I hated him from the show. That's
but I think he knew that too.
So
maybe he was. I didn't watch the show.
I remember.
Maybe he was just a bit of a punk back then. I don't know.
I remember the one that put me over. I was like, you know what? I don't like this guy at all. he's having a conversation in the house, and he's like, "Forget Team Ortiz. Forget Team Shamrock. I'm on Team Bisping. I don't care about the team. It's just an individual competition."
I know, what a jerk.
And I was
caring
like,
about himself.
I was like, man, it's about the team. And I'm telling you, that's what made me not like him.
I love
that one quote.
I like that. That's hilarious. By today's standards, it's just like they're just be all for themselves, especially on that show.
Yeah. Well, no, I've changed my mind.
Obviously, you're more evolved. We should, before we close out of here, we should note who scored what. It was judges Colon and Crosby who had this 29-28 for Evans, and it was Romulo Bittencourt scored it for Bisping, like I did. But again, I don't know if they Homilo.
I think it's Homilo.
What makes you say that?
Well, I believe he had. I think he was the head instructor at Henzo Newark.
Oh, I'm not as familiar
if I'm
with
not
him.
mistaken.
Oh, good for you. By the way, it's cumulative, not cumulative.
Cumulative.
Since we're correcting everybody here.
Cumulative.
Cumulative.
Cumulonimbus.
Cumulative. Those are clouds.
Cumulative.
Cumulative.
I like meshing syllables together.
That's all right.
Cumulative.
All right, I think we should move on from this. We're going on too long on that one, but yeah, that was it for that one. We do have one more patch judgment. And again, this one, we call these appeal editions because we go back and look and give it another look at especially the fights that we had judged before we had, again, a more evolved understanding of the criteria. This is a one that we looked at way back in episode 7, not UFC 7. This was, I can't remember if it was right before or right after you had gotten over COVID. And this was deep in the pandemic, like the early days, the dark days, and we were doing this remotely. It was like an all BJ Penn episode. So this fight is BJ Penn against Caol Uno II.
All right.
The notorious draw that dead in the water started the lightweight division, of the UFC. Back at UFC 41. This was on February 28th, 2003 at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. Headliner was Rico Rodriguez defending, well, not successfully, his heavyweight title against Tim Sylvia. Sylvia ended up winning that one. It was also the final of a 4-man tournament to crown this lightweight champ, which again did not happen. Jens Pulver had left the UFC over a contract dispute, so he had vacated the title. That is why we were here. The tournament began in the semifinals, by the way, the previous September. Penn beat Matt Serra. Caol Uno had defeated Dean Thomas. and those were both by decision. So that is how you were curious when we were watching this. You said, how did Caol Uno get here? It's like, well, this is why.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I mean, he got destroyed the first fight.
Yeah,
It's
but
only 7 events
well, they
later.
made a little
Well,
tournament.
7 events later. How far away is that?
At the time, that was like more than a year.
Yeah, that's
It was
wild.
well over a year because they were having like 5 to 7 events at this point in a year.
Okay.
It was not that many.
Mm.
And in fact, I think about this sometimes. It's like if you go back and you went from like UFC 41 or UFC, let's just go with UFC 1 to at what event would you finally get enough fights to make up for how many fights we watch in 1 year now? It's probably like well over a decade.
Wow.
That's my guess.
All right.
Yeah. Be interesting to see. That's a very nerdy thing to do, and that's right up my alley because I'm a total nerd.
Yeah, that's for you to figure out.
I should also point out that, like, as much as this was for the title, right, and we thinks of BJ Penn as one of the greats and kind of number one. Takanori Gomi was considered number one at this point. He was still fighting for Shuto. So Pulver had just been knocked out, I should say, a month earlier by Dwayne Bang Ludwig. Penn and Uno were right behind Gomi in the rankings, so there's a lot of, who's the best at this point. So they were really trying to figure this out here.
And
again, we didn't get that. We didn't get resolution anyway, but the judges for this. Oh, you wanted to say something. What were you going to say?
when was this? What was the date of this fight?
February 28, 2003. So
2003.
a little more than 20 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was trying to see how many fights they had. I'm sorry, give me the date one more time.
February 28, 2003.
Okay, so later in the year, BJ settled it. BJ finished Takanori.
Takanori Gomi.
Yeah. So
he did.
Eventually, he
got
took it over.
Yeah, we settled that because obviously he left. He had kind of a little bit of a UFC sabbatical.
Mm.
But anyway, the judges for this one, once again, Doug Crosby, never heard of him, and Tony Molinax and Steve Wright. And this being 20 years ago, you can imagine we don't have individual round scores. Who knows how we got there? We'll go over why. But anyway, we just had the final tally.
I wish we knew how we got there.
I wish we did too.
Also, I'm kind of confused how we got there the first time we did this.
Yeah. We'll figure that out. I think I have a better idea of that, at least. The referee for this one, by the way, was John McCarthy. And that leads us into round one. So, Dan, what's happened in round one?
Yeah, BJ Penn lands a nice right hand early, gets a takedown, gets on the back, lands a couple strikes. Uno gets back up. BJ gets it back down. He's on the back again, landing some punches. A couple of these heel kicks to the belly. I think we definitely got dominance here, but I'm a little short on damage. I'm just going 10-9.
Yeah, I think for me, this just felt like a little bit of a different round. It felt like kind of like, okay, this was BJ. This was really BJ. And we do have the dominance here. I checked off dominance. So I actually did go the 8 here. But I understand this is kind of an 8-9 split in the CSJ system. So I can see why you ended up going the other way. It's very close. I feel good about my 8 here. So I would imagine at the time the judges had this one for Penn 10-9. But who the heck knows?
Well, but there was 30% of people on UFC the TV that had it for Gomi.
Yeah, so back at this point, they were advertising. People would go on UFC.tv and cast your vote on who won the round. And yes, it was 70-30 split for BJ. That felt like it was just 30% of people were going to vote for Caol Uno no matter what he did.
Yep.
So that was a little strange.
While you pointed out, it should have been, to prove that the concept behind verdict does not work.
Yes. I think this was an early sign that something like verdict is not meant to be. Although back then, people knew less than they do now, and now there's more people who know less than they did at the time. I think. Did I say that right? Anyway, but our scores at that time when we did this way back 3 years ago, we both had BJ Penn 10-8. So, you saw it a little bit more. I think at the time we were doing it more as like, okay, well, he definitely won the round, so we're going to do an 8, as opposed to like, well, it was close, so we're going to go.
Yeah, like there's no argument.
We did things a little bit different then, which I still don't hate the idea of, but we're grounding it in the criteria of today and the 3Ds and at least applying them to, a different way, but nonetheless, it's still going to be evaluated in the same way you would. So let's move on to round 2, though. What's going on here?
Yeah, not the most exciting round. Uno's landing some good light kicks. The commentary's even like BJ should probably start trying to check these. BJ lands a couple shots to the head, but mostly this round is Uno. He gets a couple takedowns, these nice little trips, a little ground and pound with it. 10-9 Uno.
Yeah, 10-9 Uno. This felt like a pretty. Not a clear round. I mean, I guess it was clear in the sense that, like, yeah, Uno definitely won, but not a not a big round.
Right.
Not a big round at all. But no, I don't think anybody would mistake who won this round. So I think we can give the judges this, that they probably saw this one for Uno, especially because the slant of this fight ended up being closer to Uno than anything else. So yeah, I have Uno 10-9, which means my score is still 19-18 in favor of Penn. You have it tied at 19 apiece. But we also had it 19-19 for Uno in this round as well.
Yep.
What about round 3?
Pretty much the same round as round 2. Uno's landing good leg kicks, getting takedowns, landing some ground and pound. BJ Penn landing a couple strikes to the head on the feet. Basically the same as round 2. 10-9 Uno.
Yeah, same thing. I had the same score. That ends up making it tied at 28 apiece. For me, you have it 29-28 in Uno's favor. And at the time, when we did this a few years ago, we had it the same way I did. So 28 all.
Mm-hmm.
What about round 4?
Well, BJ outgrapples Uno in this round. A couple solid takedowns. He gets the back. No real ground and pound in this round. No sub attempts. I think it's just a clear 10-9 for Penn here. He's got. Does he even get the body triangle this time? I don't know if he's.
I don't believe he did.
Yeah, I don't think he gets the body triangle in this round.
Yeah, I think this is just it's a nice BJ Penn round.
Yeah.
It's hard to. Let's play devil's advocate here, though. Do you see a way where they could give this round to Caol Uno, even imagining, 20 years ago what scoring may have
I
been
don't
like,
think so.
You know? Yeah, it's tough to imagine it because he didn't really do a whole lot of successful offense in any way, right?
And Uno's eye is
noteworthy.
getting messed up.
It is getting messed up, yeah.
So,
In fact, in anything, you would think it would lean much more to BJ Penn in
Right,
that sense.
yeah.
But I still wouldn't give it more than the 9, even in our system. I think it's just a BJ round.
yeah, it's a 9.
Although what?
Last time we gave it an 8.
We did. Last time we did give it an 8. I don't know what we were thinking, other than, it's like, well, we think he won, so we're going to give him the 8, as opposed to it just being, man, it could have gone either way. But we feel close about it. So I don't know. Don't go back and listen to that episode. We're telling you where it is just because we want to make sure we're covering our bases. If you want to go back and figure out why we said stupid things, then, I guess. But, maybe don't. Just maybe don't. So I have it a Penn round. That means I give him the edge once again. I have a 38-37. You have 38 apiece. It's tied going to the final round. Again, we gave this an 8 last time, so our cumulative scorecard 3 years ago was 38-36 in BJ Penn's favor. What about the final round? Is this another round where at least we could start thinking about could it go Caol Uno's way?
I don't think so. I think both guys are pretty exhausted. Penn's landing some good shots on the feet.
A theme of older MMA, huh?
Yeah. he gets it on the ground, grabs the back, lands a shot or two before it's reversed. But I just don't see anything really effective at all coming from Uno. Kind of just hoping to survive the round, really. Cardio-wise, most likely.
Yeah.
But, I think Penn has all the effective offense here. Pretty clear for Penn. 10-9.
Yeah. I'm with you. This is a 10-9 round. I don't think he quite gets to that 8 level in our system. I don't really check off any Ds here. Just I know no one would mistake who won the round.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's probably why we thought about this one as a 10-8 at the time. We did do it at 10-8 at the time, but we're not doing it here. Simple 10-9, which brings your score to 48-47 and mine to 48-46. But I could see it going your way too. I'm sure you could probably see it to a degree mine as well. But yeah, we had 48-44 BJ Penn at the time, which sounds like a much bigger shutout than it actually kind of was. But also, it does sort of represent the fact that, we definitely feel like BJ Penn won this fight.
Yeah, BJ won.
It's really hard to come away from this fight, I think, even under an older understanding of the criteria or an older iteration of the criteria, interpretation thereof, and give this one to Caol Uno, which is why it's so puzzling that this is a draw. A split draw is how it went down. Doug Crosby got the fight correct, I think, in giving it 48-46. At least he gave it to Penn. I don't know which round he gave a 10-8 to BJ of the old we're all over the place here. I don't know what's going on with the scoring back in 2003. This is crazy. Doug Crosby has 48-46 Penn, which again, he got the right guy, I think. I think we actually got the right guy here. Tony Molinax went 48-47 Caol Uno. I don't know what round he gave to Caol Uno. What round? Yeah. Give me, if guns to your head, 1, 4, or 5. Which one of those went to Uno?
5, maybe. Like that's the only one that. Only because in my eyes that was the.
BJ's a little more tired. Is that what kind of going
maybe
for?
He just has worse appearance. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
It looks a little closer, right? Yeah,
possibly.
Yeah,
I mean he does get pressed against the fence a little bit in that round,
right?
But I mean, I'm just trying to find something.
I know. We're
So-
grasping at straws. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
giving devil's advocate here. I'm
Yeah.
giving a scenario that's a little strange. But then our final score, because we're split here. We got BJ on one side, we got Uno on the other side. Steve Wright has a 48-48, which means there is a 10-10 round in here.
Just threw his hands
And
up
if
and
you're-
said, I don't know.
Yeah, if you're saying that the round that's potentially could have gone not to BJ Penn is round 5, then what we're saying in this scenario, and we're guessing here, again, I want to stress we're guessing. We do not know Stephen Wright's individual round by round card here. But could it be that he had it 38-38 going into round 5, and he came away from round 5 and said, I can't pick a winner.
Throw my hands
We're moving
up.
on.
That's it.
Just no one should win this one. And he got a split draw. I mean, God, what the heck went on here?
I don't know.
Like, this is almost like a fight that, like, really deserves some looking into. Because why would we have gotten here? I don't understand.
Yeah, what are these scorecards?
I would love to see those scorecards. Now, I know from speaking with Nick Lembo a few years back that the state of New Jersey destroyed a lot of their older records, including a ton of old boxing and MMA scorecards. I know Nick was not particularly happy about that either. So that's unfortunate that it happened. I don't think he had a say in that. And it just kind of.
I mean, no one has a great scorecard. We have a 10-8 in a fight where you
from back in the time. Yeah, I mean, I don't
Like-
know. Maybe there is a way to get to a 10-8 in that time. I don't know. I don't know what the scoring was like 20 years ago.
we
Not
got
entirely. I mean, we can just extrapolate.
we got the wrong winner, and then we have one where you just throw your hands up and say, I can't pick a winner.
If anybody has some old school knowledge of the way judging was at the time, or maybe wants to go back, especially if you're a licensed judge, an experienced judge, if you want to go back to this fight for us, I would love to hear your thoughts on this fight and the individual rounds. And if there is any point in time where it could be conceivable to give 3 rounds to Caol Uno, I would love to hear that, because this is a hard one. This is like, I mean, this is a robbery. This is an old school robbery to me.
All right.
Even from the time, this feels like, man, they didn't get it right. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm looking at it from a lens of, again, I wasn't even watching MMA at this point. I was still in high school. I wasn't watching MMA. I was probably watching football and basketball and baseball. Is that what it was? It was February 2003.
Mm-hmm.
This was, I was gearing up for a couple of really excellent seasons from my Marlins and my Panthers. I went to the World Series and Super Bowl respectively. One of them even won. It was a good year for me, sports-wise. But I wasn't, UFC was not on my radar, so I don't know. I would love to get some feedback on this one, though. If anybody wants to watch it, please do. Let us know.
Mm-hmm.
But that is it. We didn't get a winner. I think they messed up. And yeah, but at least, we still ended up on the right page here as far as our old score in favor of Penn.
Yeah.
It's just we leaned a little too heavily in our 8s back then. I think now we have a more stricter code for how to get there. So I think it was good to go back to this one. Yeah. It probably makes you feel good that you still feel like BJ Penn won the fight.
Oh, he definitely won the fight.
And I don't think that's your bias talking. I don't. But yeah, let's look ahead, though, to some more Jersey fights.
Yeah.
My understanding is this is the 20th UFC card to take place in New Jersey.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, they had AC for a while.
They were doing AC for a little
So-
bit, and then they would go to Newark every year because they were trying to say to New York, hey, this is what you're missing out on.
Yeah, and
every
then,
year.
And
And
they're now they're like, yeah, screw you, Newark.
Yeah,
We'll come every once in a while now.
Well, I mean, it's not just that. They went to Newark in 2009,
Mm-hmm.
and they went the year before to AC.
Is that the Rebel?
Yeah,
Or-
it was still Revel at that point. I don't
Okay.
think it was Revel after. No. Well, not much
Yeah.
longer. It's now Ocean Resort.
Yeah,
and
something
along those lines. I haven't been to AC in a while. But yeah, so we've had 2 Jersey cards in the last 7 years. Part of that is the pandemic, and they didn't travel around at all. I'm actually.
Well, no, they had Robbie Lawler and Kobe Covington was in Newark.
Oh yeah, I did mean to highlight that one as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, 3 then, right? Wait, no, that was the other one. That was the other one I was trying to highlight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's only those 2.
What about
'Cause-
UFC 111?
UFC 111 took place way before they had it in New York.
Oh, you're talking about in New York. I'm sorry. Since New York.
Since New York came along, yeah.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Because once they came
My
to New
bad.
York, they said, forget about it.
Yeah, and when we come there, we're just gonna throw a throwaway at you.
It was a throwaway, yeah. And this is
Although it got better.
what you talking about, this pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Or okay, I was actually talking about when they came here with Robbie Lawler and Colby
Yeah.
Covington, because
Yeah.
that was a little bit of a throwaway event. Middle of the afternoon in New Jersey. That was
Mhm.
rare in and of itself. But yeah, this UFC 288 this weekend, this coming Saturday. I don't think it's the strongest of pay-per-views, but I actually think it's kind of deep enough that there's actually at least a pretty watchable card here, even
Mhm.
for those who are not going to
Mhm.
attend in the Rock in the Prudential Center for the exorbitant prices they are asking.
Crazy prices.
It is crazy. It's like $240 to get in the door for this card, which is high, especially in Jersey as opposed to the Garden.
Yeah, like in that past Judgment, I think I paid $40 for my seat.
Yeah, that's right. I was asking you
UFC
about
78.
that. I wish I knew how much I paid for UFC 111 because that was my first event.
I want to say I didn't pay more than 60 for that one, and I had pretty good seats.
I will say this though, because I like UFC 288 in that I actually think it's got a good, solid headliner. I actually think this is a good.
Great
I think it can carry a card, which is crazy because it's actually the first time Aljamain Sterling has headlined a UFC event.
Wow, I've seen him headline before that though.
Oh yeah, no, I
Yeah.
understand. That was a CFFC, your favorite.
Yeah, that was wild.
But no, this is the first time that, especially as champion, it's the first time that they've said in a while that they said we'll put the bantamweight title as the headliner. It's been quite a while since we've had that, so it's nice to see, and I think it's a good fight for it. Henry Cejudo coming out of retirement, hasn't fought in 3 years, wants to get that belt back, almost exactly 3 years actually, when he retired after beating Dominic Cruz in that fight that Cruz cannot let go of the finish.
He can't.
He just can't let it go.
What did he? He jokingly called Keith Peterson all nonsense.
Yes,
Keith
last week.
Peterson.
Which, okay, fine. It's kind of funny in the context, but also it's just wrong because he did the right thing.
Yeah, he saved him from a beating. So.
And probably wasn't drinking or smoking cigarettes all day before the event.
Yes.
Let it go, Dom. Just move on. This being in New Jersey, I imagine we will have some Jersey judges here. Probably Eric Colon, probably Dave Torelli, maybe some Donnie Carolee or John Billick or somebody like that. Plus, I would imagine they'll bring in some traveling judges.
Yeah, I would think so.
I would think so as well. I think we'll get a good job. I think the fact that we have 2 local judges.
I'll be
who
there if
travel
you
is
need
pretty
me
good.
to fill in. I'll
That's
be
true.
there.
Dan is on call. He's ready to go. Give him a call. Here's your first assignment. You're going to be in the main event doing Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you are.
Oh, I'm ready.
No, you're not. But I actually like a lot of the fights underneath this too. I like, especially that they added this one, Bilal Muhammad and Gilbert Burns. We lost the co-main event, the original co-main event, which was going to be Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a great fight. I think this one is almost equal. It's not quite there. It's not quite at that level because there was a much higher anticipation about what was definitely going to come from that, which was probably a title fight.
Well, this could sort out 170.
This still could, but
so...
also Dana has been very committed to no, it's going to be Colby Covington.
Well,
we'll
no,
see what
yeah,
he says
I'm
this
saying,
week.
but it's sort out whoever's after that.
Yeah, probably it's going to take one of these guys being really impressive in victory. He'll go up there like, oh, nobody really wanted it. It's always about what they want and don't want. Everything is always spun that way, and then Colby Covington absolutely wanted the fight because he hasn't fought in a year. Huh? Annie Hooser. I do like this fight, though. Gilbert Burns, Bilal Muhammad. I think it's going to be fun. Bilal doesn't always have, let's say the most fun style, but I think Gilbert can kind of manage some of those strengths that Bilal has and turn it into an interesting fight. And I'm not saying that Bilal can't win that fight, but I think it's going to be a different type of Bilal Muhammad fight than we've gotten used to in recent years.
It's also 5 rounds.
It is 5 rounds. That's right. It's a non-title 5-round fight.
So 11-day notice. I think it was when this fight got made.
Yeah, and good for him because Bilal Muhammad, I think he had to cut a lot of weight to get here.
I think he originally didn't want to go 170, according to Gilbert.
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah.
So
you hear what you hear,
But
we'll count that as conjecture. But yeah, I mean he's coming out of Ramadan, and this is his first fight after that, which it didn't end very long ago, and. Yeah, I'm interested to see how we do here. I think it'll be a fun fight.
Mm-hmm.
I like Jessica Andrade coming back, fighting Yan Xiaonan.
Mm-hmm.
This is and at 115. I think she belongs at 115. I think she can still compete at 125, but also she just lost very clearly to Erin Blanchfield. So maybe now is not the time. Focus on 115. I think there's a path to getting that rematch against a different Chinese fighter in the champion Zhang Wei Li.
Mm-hmm.
She wins this one. I think she should be right there, at least in the conversation, especially because Amanda Lemos is kind of looked at as like, okay, maybe she should be next here. But Jessica Andrade tapped her out with the submission of the year last year,
yeah,
standing arm triangle.
Sick.
So I don't see why we should have Jessica Andrade get leapfrogged. I don't. I really am not okay with that. And it's not a retread thing. It's an absolute deserved thing here. But she's to go and take care of business here against Yan.
All right.
We'll see if she can. Movsar Evloev stepped in on late notice to fight Bryce Mitchell at 145. This is a great 145.
Not an easy fight to step into to protect your O.
Definitely not.
That's
definitely not. But that
Bi-
says a
big
lot
on him.
about Evloev.
yeah.
I think it says a lot about his confidence.
Might
and
be one of my guys.
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. You're always looking for new guys to fill out your team.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a limit on the number of guys that you can have?
At some point, if I become Chris Collinsworth, when I'm just so impressed and happy with every single player on the field,
Yeah.
then yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be the limit.
When will that be? I mean, were we talking about
I-
more than a dozen, or
I guess,
do you keep
yeah.
it like at a dirty dozen, or
Yeah, let's keep it at 12.
all right?
Hard 12.
At some point, we're gonna have you write down this list, and you're gonna actually manage it as
Okay.
you go.
All right.
We'll be like, all right, he's off the team, he's on the team. Yeah. I like anytime Cass Williams fights.
Mhm.
He's going against Ronaldo Bedoya here at 170. I love Drew Dober against Matt Frevola at 155.
I think that's just going to be
That's fight of the
bonkers.
night. That's the fight of the
Yeah.
night. I think headliner or front runner, I should say.
okay.
Here. This is it's the featured prelim, and I think that's a smart way to do the featured prelim. You put the fight that's probably a fight of the night caliber, but not necessarily one that's like between the top contenders.
Mhm.
You put that one in that slot. I like when they do that. I think they did a good job here. But again, you get that one for free. You don't have to pay the
Mhm.
$70 or was it $94, $3,000 to watch on pay per view. I can't remember
Yeah.
anymore. I pay it. I just try not to look anymore.
You know what? If you
I
can,
know I have to pay it, so it's whatever.
you should be able to get you should, with our ticket, we should be able to just get like a pay-per-view coupon.
I know.
Like, with the
Well, I don't have a
cost of
ticket,
it.
but nonetheless, I understand what you're saying. Where are your seats again, by the way?
Oh, I got some good seats.
Where are you sitting?
Section 3, lower bowl.
Do you have a good sight line, do you think?
Yeah, I looked at it's behind one of the goals for hockey. They don't have a picture of a UFC event,
Right.
so I imagine it's not too far.
But do you think you'll have a more of a clear panel, or are you going to have like more of a post in the middle?
I should have a clear panel, I think.
Okay, that's good.
I think-
Especially if it's one of the panels without the door. We don't even know.
right. That's true.
That's a good question.
Yeah, don't know.
Yeah. Usually I can orient it.
I think
I'd
I'm
have to know where you
also
are.
elevated where I'm looking into the cage a
Yes,
little bit.
that's
So
clutch. You actually have to have that.
if you're not on the floor in row 1, 2, or 3,
You
And
really
kinda
kind of
need
want to
that.
sit where you're sitting. Otherwise, don't even bother. Don't pay the $7,000 to get in the building. And the only reason I put one more fight on here early on the prelims, Rafael Estevam against Jalga Sumagulov. Why do you think I have this fight on here?
probably because we're going to talk about
We
it.
are definitely going to talk about Jalga Sumagulov. There has never been a fight where I've said to myself, Zumagulov's probably not going to give us a reason to talk about these rounds. He is always in a split decision and often is on the wrong end of it, not necessarily the undeserving end, but on the wrong end of the split decision. It just kind of doesn't go that way. So, yeah, I expect we'll be talking about another split decision for Zalma Zumagulov. I don't know if he'll win it or not, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe the Jersey judges will be up to the task. Get on the same page, just like the Vegas judges were.
Let's see. Let's hope.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there was another fight I want to add.
What you have?
Crone Gracie making his return after like almost 4 years off
Yeah.
against Charles Jourdain.
I like when Charles
So-
Jourdain fights. I like the fight, but also I just because Crone Gracie doesn't fight very often, I'm like, what's he gonna be like? I don't know. So,
We're going to find out.
but that is the pay-per-view opener actually. So it'll probably be a fun one. I'll give you that. It's probably fun.
I think it's going to be fun for grapplers.
I think this is one of those cards that it's going to be a little bit of a sleeper and end up being an actually very interesting card. A lot of people were complaining about,
Let's hope.
which we don't get. That doesn't often happen with pay-per-views. When the pay-per-views come along and they don't look good, they
Mhm.
often don't deliver. This one I actually think has the sleeper potential to it. So we'll see.
Did you mention fellow Jersey guy on the card? Phil Hoss?
Oh yes, Phil Haas is on this one. No, I didn't highlight him. He is, as I understand it, he's the only one from New Jersey on this entire card. So I'm gonna say this. Bad job by the UFC on planning this. How did you not manage to get any of the following fighters on here? You didn't get Jim Miller. You didn't get Aaron Blanchfield. You didn't get, I don't even know who's from South Jersey anymore. I'm trying to think. I mean, I feel like the South Jersey crew.
Frankie could have came back.
Yeah, Frankie's not going to come back.
Oh, okay.
No. Leave that alone. Please. Let him chill.
Maybe Frankie will be there and they'll induct him to the Hall of Fame.
Maybe, man, they've been inducting left and right here. Maybe they would put him in.
I'd be pretty cool if they did that.
That would be cool. Maybe they should. I like that. That's a good thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back again Monday to break down all the rounds from UFC 288.
And I'll have to, because especially we're both going to be watching it live and in person. We'll have to, give us the take on how different it looks on TV and in the arena, like we like to do.
Yeah, I will be wooing like crazy.
Don't you dare!
I will be wooing.
Don't you dare!
Thanks for listening.
Take care, everybody.